mutual friend, and I learned her story a little bit. And I think you're going to be really inspired by her talk. I know that this woman has come through a lot, and I know a lot of us have had challenges in our lives. This is a chance for us to really understand what happens with somebody who suffers a concussion, and then how they can still remain productive and strong in their lives. So everyone put your hands together for Lisa Khera.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored to be able to share my story today. Thank you so much to Sarah and Roger for this amazing show that you put on. All the vendors here, it's just absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to get started. I'm super duper pumped to share my story with you. Oh, okay. Perfect. Okay. This one's better? Okay. That's true. I can't be stuck there. So I'm super pumped to share my top tips on how to feel productive and positive through post-concussion syndrome. And these are my lessons from the core. So that's also the name of a chapter that I wrote in the book called Women Who Inspire. So I'll tell you more about just that journey there. So I am Lisa Khera. As I mentioned, I'm a wife, a mom of two, entrepreneur, and a Pilates studio owner. I started Pilates in 2000 to rehab a chronic back injury myself. That's originally why I got into it. So I've been doing Pilates for about 17 years to help posture and improve back pain. And I had my Pilates studio for over 11 years, so really into helping people with posture and chronic pain and things like that. And then I'm also, as I said, a best-selling author of the book Women Who Inspire. And one of my stories is in the book, The Yoga Birth Method. So that one's in there as well. And then I have some of my Pilates featured on CTV Ottawa News. So I had a concussion in October of 2016, and one question I want to know, has anyone here in the audience ever taken a Pilates class? Yes, a few people, okay, just curious. And so today, what I'm going to talk to you about is strategies and tips to feel more productive and positive during post-concussion syndrome. These strategies will move you forward without a doubt. No one is using all of these strategies exactly how I described them to you, but everyone could be using them. And we all need a toolbox of things to try and figure out what combination works for you. So I often get asked by people, like, what are any tips that I can share to go through the healing process through post-concussion? And I will always be there for people who reach out to me on this topic. But I will admit at times it does break my heart a little bit when I hear someone that suffered a concussion, just because there's just no time frame. You have no idea how long it's going to take to get better. You have no idea what types of challenges you're about to come up against. So it's something that I'm very passionate about, helping just to be there for another person going through it. And ultimately knowing that no brain injury is too small or too big to be tackling, so it's something to definitely deal with. So some of you can relate with this: technical difficulties, repairs underway. So in the next 45 minutes, I'll take you inside the last year and a half of living with post-concussion symptoms, the grief of closing a business due to medical concerns, reinventing myself, and how to reframe the negative things in your life to positive. So I wanted to know as well, raise your hand if you yourself are living with post-concussion syndrome. And if there's anyone here that's taking care of someone or loves someone that has post-concussion syndrome. And anyone that has just an acquaintance, maybe you know someone at work, or you know another mom on the playground or anything like that. Okay, so yes, just curious about that. So, and then I also know that you're in the right place if you are at a point where you want to make changes and live a healthier lifestyle. And I have you covered for just sharing some of these tips with you that will help. So have you ever been at a point in your life where you weren't taking care of yourself? Maybe you weren't eating healthy enough, you were over-consuming, not expressing gratitude, working all the time, and not asking for help, maybe simply just letting life pass you by without a purpose. And I apologize today, I may resort to reading, but that is because I still do have a lot of memory issues. Lots of funny stories about the things we tend to forget with post-concussion, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that as well. So that's where I was living at the time. While I did have a purpose through my family and running my business, I was merely just kind of going through the motions. So at that point, I had had my Pilates studio for about 10 years. I was working days, evenings, and weekends away from my young boys. I was leaving at night when I really didn't want to, having a lot of stomach issues and just that stress-related feeling of knowing that you're not in alignment, you're not living to your best abilities, kind of living in that stress zone. So there was no real stopping to evaluate where my business was going, and I didn't even know if I wanted to work that many hours anymore. I didn't even know if that really still aligned with my family. When I started my Pilates business, it was before kids, before husband, so I was always, we get in that time where you're used to working evenings, working weekends, working all the time just to have classes that suit your clients kind of thing. So if I knew then what I know now, I would realize that it didn't align and I really needed to make some changes with my business. So that led me to not having a clue what to do, and I had this intuitive session with an intuitive business coach. So I was looking to her for all these answers. We had a great session. In this session, I realized that I was kind of doing this Pilates studio just for my clients. I wasn't really taking into account my family and my situation. And I was really just felt like if I close or make any changes, I'm going to be abandoning my clients. And that was definitely the last thing I wanted to do. But in life, you really need to make things work for yourself and your family and do what's best for your life, right? So I had this great session with her, realized, all that I didn't need to do anymore. And let's just see here. So I had that session with her. The very next day, I had to go and get my car rust-proof. So I went out and did that. I was really excited to have an hour to myself to work in my business from my phone. And went and did this oil change. Anyways, I got back home. Picture it, it's October. It was a typical fall day. It was cool and damp. There was leaves outside. I decided I'm going to be the superstar wife and I'm going to clean off the leaves and help out my husband. So I went into my garage to grab a broom. And so let's picture, I go into my garage to grab a broom. The broom's here. I didn't realize the heavy comb rake thing was leaning against the wall. And so I walked over to this rake to grab the broom beside it, stepped on it, and essentially stepped on it, clocked myself in the head like a bat hitting my head. So that's how I got the concussion. So I really didn't take it seriously, right? That's just like your typical cartoon accident that you see on the cartoons all the time. I stepped on this rake, clocked myself in the head. So I definitely didn't take it seriously. I kind of lied on the couch all afternoon, cruising my phone, which, not to shoulda, coulda, woulda, but definitely had I known, would have put the phone away, gotten away from the screens, all that stuff. So definitely listen to those recommendations at the beginning if you are told to, have some screen time breaks and socializing breaks, all that. Really listen to those tips at the beginning. And that night I worked my 2 classes, just again thinking I have this huge goose egg on my head, but no big deal, what a cartoon accident kind of thing. The following day I had my usual about 6 hours of Pilates clients in a row, went and got my kids after school, came back for another client, and then went to a school dance. So again, just doing all the things during that first 24-hour period that definitely weren't best for my brain. And finally, I did go to a walking clinic and was diagnosed that there was a concussion, and kind of just told to take it easy, but kind of really no big deal. Just take it easy at the beginning. I had a fitness thing that I was attempting to go to the following day, the Sunday, and so I kind of really just wanted clearance from that doctor that it was okay to go to this fitness thing and just kind of not exercise, right? So so I was able to go to my fitness thing the following day. My main takeaway here I've got up there is that you want to do what makes you feel productive and positive, and ultimately what feels productive for you will change, right? It's going to depend on what you're able to do, what things trigger you, what things flare you up. So just being really mindful of how you're feeling and listening to your body is really, really important. So as I said, I was really excited that I could go to that fitness thing the next day, and I got there that the teachings and support come into our lives on purpose, and that there are no coincidences. So I was really glad to go to this conference, and even just with these people here, Mindy and Lee Lawhorn, they really helped give me the spiritual foundation that I needed at the time. There was just some of the teachings that they have just helped to kind of get me through that first few days. And early into the concussion, I did get a phone call from one of my husband's friend's wives who had suffered a concussion herself. And she had said, you know, at the beginning, you really do, I suggest just take 2 weeks off from your clients. Take 2 weeks off, go rest your brain. So I did that. I did cancel my 2 weeks of clients, had other instructors covering to see those clients. But as I said, I kind of took it as an opportunity to do some of the business stuff, like webinars and online learning. I really didn't take a full break. So at the beginning, again, listen to those advisements of taking the break, and go from there, kind of thing. So if you're used to working a lot and being very independent, and then you have something that slows you down, I'm sure you can relate to just having that push-pull kind of inner problem with you want to be productive and you want to do a lot, but you know that you have to slow down. So there's definitely trying to find a balance, and that's why I said about the whole being productive. It's so important to know what makes you feel productive, and some days that may just be doing all your physio and vision therapy exercises. It may be, you know, cooking that meal for your family, or working on a project that you're trying to clean up, or a work project. So just know that it's very dependent on how you're feeling and what your version of productivity is for yourself. So after speaking with my friend's wife there, I don't know if you've ever been here, but 2 things definitely happened for me. I realized how deeply we need others to relate to and find connection to, especially when we're going through hardships and that. And I gradually learned that no brain injury is too mild to ignore or too severe to lose hope. And that's a big thing, because as I said at the beginning of mine, I just thought, oh, this is a silly cartoon injury, not that big of a deal. It's not like I was in a car accident or had some horrific thing occur. I stepped on a rake. How silly, you know what I mean? So definitely take any and all considerations like that into consideration. And so here I've got with my just saying there, but the no brain injury is too mild to ignore, too severe to lose hope. So as I said, I tripped and stumbled many times, but I always kept seeking new ways to cope and manage, most of which was delivered by personal development, podcasts, and online learning. So reading books really wasn't an option for me. It would give me a lot of fatigue and headaches and not feeling great the next day. learning was my way, so listening to, as I said, podcasts, any online learning, to really allow me to still feel connected to the business world, in that I never really went back to teaching group classes, just with all the movement in the periphery and that kind of thing. I do continue to see my clients one-on-one. I did move my studio. I'd had it for 11 years. I did move it to my home last June. So again, just modifying and taking the little bits that we can do and just working with what we can do and kind of going from there. So this is just, I often have whiteboards filled with reminders of how to keep my sanity. So let's how to say it. So here I've just got, this is a typical one, deep breaths, water, healthy food, doing things like EFT, any online learning. So just having that toolbox of things that work for you, that at least there's something in physically writing down a list of things that you know, like an armor of things to protect you and help you. So knowing you physically have a list of, okay, when I'm feeling crappy, when symptoms are really taking over, what can I do to make myself feel better? And there's days that you'll have to physically walk yourself over to that list and, you know, kind of force yourself to do something off there. But it's so important to just know that you have this kind of toolbox of things that you can do, exercise, that kind of thing. And I was just going to say about being productive, that it was my way to feel productive. I was still learning all I could to bring my brick and mortar studio more online, to continue to offer support to my clients with low back pain and posture issues. And Pilates completely changed my posture and helped my back. So when you go from chronic pain to pain-free and strong with something like Pilates and fitness, I really had a passion to still continue to be able to keep that, offering that service to my clients and that kind of thing. So I have here a little exercise that I'd like you guys to do. You can either do it now or at home tonight. So at the end of each day, I want you to write down 3 things that you succeeded at that day. So every day, write down these positive things that you did. Then on the days that your symptoms are really flared up, and when you have a wicked headache, or you're forgetting your words, and you're having trouble with what should be a simple cognitive processing, you will have reminders of the things that you can do, and all of the little successes along the way will be right in front of you in black and white. So the one thing is daily, write down 3 things, 3 successes that you had each day, and ultimately maybe by the end of this week you can make one list with 100 things, 100 successes that you've done through your life, so that you just always have that vision of success. And then I've got my main takeaway for you today is that you want to do what makes you feel productive and positive, and that this didn't happen to me, it happened for me. So you want to really get into the no self-judgment, no feelings of not good enough. You want to do things that give you self-love and compassion. As I mentioned before, the productivity for you is going to change and be different based on your symptoms and how you're feeling and what you're able to manage, and maybe what you did the day before or the day after. And then it's also really important, I mean, it's one thing to just try to be positive, but we can't constantly be positive all the time. And so just knowing that you want to feel all the feelings, you want to allow yourself to feel the feelings. You can't stuff your feelings down or away. They'll only come back. Talk to a professional or get into a support group online or in person. Writing, acknowledging, journaling about your feelings. Talk with a trusted friend. My husband has been so helpful and there for me. And all of my friends that are so supportive in there. It's really, really important to reach out to your support network. It wasn't always easy for me to say, this didn't happen to me, it happened for me. But I knew with everything in me that if I stayed stuck complaining and not seeing the bright side, I would suffer. And who wants to do that? Sometimes we really just have to make a commitment to let go of the attachment to complaining. So I knew if I didn't actively look for new opportunities at what I had created instead of what was left behind, I would be sucked into depression. And I had been down when I had to announce all my classes would be cut at the studio, so I knew like there was no way I was going back to that level of down. I knew I just had to reinvent the jobs for myself to do and things for me to stay productive, because that's what really kept me feeling positive. If you had to give up a school or a job or a career or a business or any relationships, you can definitely relate, and there's definitely an undeniable grief with that. So when you do have a lot of things that have changed in your life that you're not able to do anymore, you're really having to modify, you also do have to tackle the fact that there is grief there. And as I said, speak to someone, that kind of thing. So I had other instructors covering my classes from like November to February, and then I, as I said, decided to cut those classes and eventually did move the studio home. Vision therapy, I still go to vision therapy about twice a week. Is anyone here doing vision therapy? Yeah, a few people? Okay. Do you feel pretty tired the next day, drained the next day? A little bit? Okay. With all the going through all the vision therapy and doing the treatment and going through all the just deciding what to do with my studio, I was super stressed. I had lots of post-concussion symptoms going on, and so that was always, as you know, you're constantly having to modify and change what you're doing and what you can and can't say yes to. Nauseous, okay, and yes, when you're nauseous, it makes it very hard to do so many things, even driving and being in a car, and right, it changes so many things for sure. So I also have written here, don't be judgy. That's just a representation of your own flaws. And that's so true. It can be so easy to judge, and when we don't realize, and you can't see, it's those invisible illnesses that you can't see something's wrong with the person, and when you can't figure out why they're saying no to certain social things or whatever. So just trying to be as compassionate as you can towards other people. So in January, I decided to let my clients know that I was going to cancel the classes and change that. And on February last year, I saw a post on Facebook. I had this book here called Women Who Ignite. And so I had got the book actually just before I got the concussion, so I actually hadn't started reading it yet. There was no way I was reading for pleasure at night. And anyway, saw a post that Kate Butler was looking for another author in the next book, Women Who Inspire. So I was what I call back then a space cadet. That was my word. I was having, as I said, a lot of symptoms. But I saw this post, and for some reason, I knew I just needed to pitch her, fill out the application. Then I eventually got an interview for this book. And I mean, I literally am the queen of procrastination before this, and now during. Maybe now I do things a little bit quicker if I'm really excited about it. But so for me to see the post, as I said, write the pitch letter and all that, it was a lot physically on my mind to even just do that, but I just knew this is what I was going to do, right? So after I got accepted into the book called Women Who Inspire, so I wrote a chapter in that book, and the day after I said yes to it, there was that horoscope in the newspaper, so I had to save that. I don't know if you guys do this, but I screenshot everything just to remember things, if it's a store or whatever. I don't know if you guys are in that same boat, but I screenshot everything just to jog my memory. So that was a picture I'd taken of the horoscope that day. And even through that pitch, when I did that pitch to her, It was because I had done a free challenge online, again, still trying to learn stuff even through what was going on with my head, on how to pitch your business. So that's why I just kind of followed that template and went from there. That's a picture. We did get the book to #1 bestseller, so that was really exciting. That's a picture from Philadelphia. We all had done a book signing, and let me tell you, like that was in October. And for those of you that have post-concussion stuff going on, it was the first time I really traveled during the head. So having the guts to get on a plane and not really knowing how flared up symptoms would be, even just from going to a function like this. I still find socializing if I push myself too long, socialize for too long, I'm very forgetful. My poor husband has witnessed many a times where I will initiate a conversation and ask him something, and by the time he answers, I totally forgot what I just asked him. So he's very patient and kind, and you definitely need that. The plane ride, it was good. It was to Philadelphia, as I said. I find getting into like tips of what calms you and using those things, right? So having kind of that toolbox of things that can help you, and then kind of using those things. So drinking a lot of water, eating healthy food, doing all the things that help set you up for success in any way that you can. Not too bad. I think I probably had a lot of adrenaline going through me, just being excited about going to this book event. And knowing that, the next day, if I had to just rest all day, that's what I would do. I find a lot of it too is knowing how to not be hard on yourself when, if you do go to something and then the next day you can't make it to that other something, being really, just again, having that self-love and self-respect to just let yourself have that downtime the next day is really, really important. So, I'm at my top tips. These are my top tips. So I've got breathe. You want to, obviously I'm a Pilates instructor, so all of my Pilates is based on breathing techniques and posture and that kind of thing. So let the breath be your anchor. And there's a lot of exercises you can do with just by thinking of the inhale and the exhale. So I remember even definitely at the beginning of a few days into the concussion, I know my doctor had told me to go and do the 48 hours in a dark room, so I spent a lot of time in my son's room because it's the darkest, and just being able to think, inhale and exhale something. So even you could do it like with a color, like inhale white light and picture that surrounding around you, exhale that white light around you. You could do it with a feeling or a word, so you can think, inhale love, exhale healing, whatever words calm you and make sense for you. It can really just help bring you into the moment and just ground you to what's going on right now, right? Oftentimes when we're worried and kind of ruminating on things, we're not being in the moment, right? If you're busy worrying. So anything you can do to take you back to the present moment, just with that breath or any type of exercises to bring you into the now, can really help with stress relief. Exercise. So that's like, you have to make exercise a non-negotiable. And that can be different, again, depending on the day. So just getting used to knowing for yourself what's best for you in the moment. So even, down to, do you feel like learning something new? Can you listen to a different voice that day? Can you learn new choreography? Or do you have to stick with something that's a little bit more familiar? So because you want the exercise to be fun, you want it to be something that you're looking forward to, and just knowing how much it's going to help your situation. So maneuvering through different types of exercise and what kind of works for you. As I said, do what makes you feel productive. We've talked about that. Let go of the how. This is a big one. It was really hard for me to close the door on my studio because I had done that for 11 years, right? So to be really open to not being stuck that your income has to come from one spot or your happiness has to come from one spot, being very open to new opportunities and just letting go of that how, and knowing that you just want to trust the process and you're exactly where you're meant to be right now. And then I also talked about the gratitude. But you woke up today. So when you very first wake up, the first thing you should be doing is being thankful that you woke up, and hopefully everyone in your home woke up. And I've got Gus, did not forget to give you your gift. So I just have Gus as God, universe, source, whatever makes sense to you, whatever you believe in. Know that you did not forgotten to give you your gift. We all have a purpose, and just be thankful that we're here. The number 6 are write down the successes every day that we talked about earlier, hopefully 100 by the end of the week. Your power statements, so I am statements. I am strong, I am healthy, I am creative, I am love, whatever those I am statements to make you feel strong. Or vibrational match statements. So I'm a vibrational match to healing, I'm a vibrational match to friendship, whatever that means to be for you. That's just some of I do all my exercise through Beachbody On Demand, so that's why I have a whole bunch of variety that I can just, what do I feel like doing today? Do I feel like learning something new or sticking to something familiar? And then some of those I am statements. And then these are the last of the tips. So self-care, big one, meditation and mindfulness meditation course. I can tell you more about, I've done those, some of the places in Ottawa. I just recently got into the Love Your Brain, so that's gonna start this week for me, so I'm really excited. Has anyone here been through the Love Your Brain program at Prana Shanti? Not yet? Okay. So I'll be able to tell you how that goes. Your routines, so diffusing oils, salt lamps, crystals, EFT, which is emotional freedom technique, so the tapping, if anyone's familiar with tapping, that can really help change your emotion and calm your emotion. Self-awareness, so know that when you have run out of gas, you must slow down and don't let anyone else's idea of what you should be able to do dictate your next move. Self-love and forgiveness, a lot of that through this journey for sure. Look for fun, so whatever brings your energy up, vibration, music, dancing, exercise, being with people that you love, spending time with friends, that kind of thing. Energy zapper, so get to know yourself and your gut feeling. So plain and simple, some people, places, and activities will zap your energy, and you need to pace and plan accordingly, which everyone would already know that has any of these symptoms for sure. It's all about pacing and regrouping, right? So reframe the negative to positive. Stages of grief, just acknowledging that there are stages of grief when you're going through changes with your abilities and what you like to do and things like that. Your support system is key. Having those people that you can really be open and honest with is really, really key. And people that will be fine with you having to modify, you know, if you don't want to go to that restaurant that's very loud and noisy and you need to go to a certain spot or an area of town that you aren't the one that's driving far. Like having those people that are really supportive, especially people that you almost don't have to say these things to, you know, that they just have that compassion and understanding is really key. And another one is get out of your jar, frame, container, connect with someone in another country. So I often have Zoom chats with one of my friends that's in Italy, but my point being is we can get so into our own little container, and you need to do things that allow you to step out and open up your periphery and just get you out of your own doom and gloom. And then I've got check in on another human. This one's key. So especially if you have any concussion issues, that just having that peer support of reaching out to another human and knowing that they're not alone, you're not alone, again, it makes like a huge comfort on your heart. And then I've got there again, make exercise a non-negotiable. I know the times that I remember at one point in the summer saying to my husband, like, if I ever get to like 3 days and I haven't exercised, will you please remind me? Now there's definitely, I'm not a saint, there's definitely days that I've gotten to 3-4 days that I haven't got it, but just having that accountability person to say like, this helps my mind so much. If you see me like dwindling down and not getting those workouts in, give me a gentle little nudge. And having those people that you can be honest with and say, like, if you see me kind of turning this corner, or if I'm not eating healthy or whatever, like those triggers that have you not being as healthy as you could, having that support system. And I was just saying there, you can go to my website, which is inboundspilates.ca, and I often send out like web classes on things and free recipes and things like that, so you can put your name and address in and we can keep in touch, and I can send you some of that stuff. I've got here the picture of May's book, A Caged Mind. That was really beautiful, to go to her book launch and to be in a room with that many people that you knew absolutely got what was going on in your body and brain and the things that, the challenges you'd faced. It was, again, just reminded me how important that connection is, and to be able to be connected to other people, and that feeling of not being alone and knowing that you're not the only person that's gone through it is absolutely huge. If you don't have her book yet, I would suggest you get it. It is amazing. If you have family members that don't get it or whatever, it's such a knowledgeable book, and it really warms my heart that we have someone like that in our city, kind of trailblazing and bringing so much awareness. It's I love it.
She's here to
Yes, she is. And so for the sheets that I gave you there, those little schedule sheets, so that's just an exercise. You can take that home with you for sure. I've got on that exercise sheet, you want to schedule in so that you will actually do it. Your exercise time, personal development time, so whether that's reading, audiobooks, podcasts, your meditation time, writing time, so whether that's journaling or creative writing, and your daily successes, so taking that 10 minutes at the end of the day to write down those 3 successes. Scheduling your peer support, so time that you're going to check in with someone during the week on another human being to give and receive support, communication, connection. And I have, our communication kind of changes as well, right? Like what works for you. An app that works well for me is called Voxer, and it's like a walkie-talkie. So I've got certain friends that we will just walkie-talkie. There's no commitment to talking on the phone or saying, hey, do you want to talk right now? It's a quick little back and forth, and it just, again, you've got to modify and look for ways that support what works for you, right? If you're trying to get off the phone and not be texting or email, how else can we communicate and stay connected with people to maximize just that feeling of not being alone? And then I just have that there, because I'm sure a lot of us have heard that. And from that I have, do not let anyone take your power away by saying that you are using this as an excuse. We all know that, none of us are using anything as an excuse, and just gravitate towards the people that get you or that are there for you. And I've got some events coming up in Ottawa on there coming up soon. And I also wanted to say that that I wish I had a tribe at the beginning. So if I could offer that circular energy to help others maneuver through post-concussion syndrome, then I am on board. I never want another human to feel so alone and helpless about the future. Share your story, take care of yourself, be a pillar of strength for others, and know in your heart this didn't happen to you, it happened for you. And And this is, yes, sometimes you meet people who change your life for the better, and those people are called Pilates instructors. And one thing I want you to repeat after me is I am exactly where I'm meant to be. So in those times when you're really just stressing and feeling, stop yourself and think, I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. Sometimes we have no idea what's around the corner or why something happened, but just being able to really trust the process and just kind of surrender to, I'm exactly where I'm meant to be, and be willing to let whatever gifts come into your life that you can. As I said for myself, I often think back with the book Women Who Inspire and just being able to do something so creative, it really helped save my sanity, right? Like when you're trucking along and you're working at a certain job and then everything changes, you really, you've just got to look for these new opportunities. And that I was able to, I do some writing for small businesses, some email funnel writing. So again, Pilates instructor, but just being able to change it up and take the little things that you are good at doing and try to make something of that and kind of change that trajectory that way. So thank you so very much for allowing me to speak today. I apologize if I had to read it a lot, but I knew reading would be easy to cover everything. Relying on my memory probably wouldn't have been the greatest. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. And if anyone has any questions, definitely let me know. I do have some of my book here, the Women Who Inspire book, and then there is the ballots there for, we're going to pick one.